A special events happening tomorrow at the Beau Rivage as South Mississippi continues to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Delphine Klaput was one of the first women who worked in an airplane factory during World War II. She was part of the original group that aided the workforce in the war effort, which was famously represented by the iconic image Rosie the Riveter. She left her home in Pennsylvania to build aircrafts in Maryland, and she was later recognized for her efforts, being awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 2024. You can hear more of her story directly from Delphine tomorrow afternoon from 1:30 to 3.